All right, we're going to do an update reading on the Ukraine and Russia situation. So, first, these are from my Russian Deviant Moon deck. We're going to do the actual reading with my English version Deviant Moon deck, but I kind of want to recreate the cards that showed up in the reading I did a month ago um, because this has basically transpired. So, and this reading that I did a month ago showed there would not be a war. I mean, the way that I stated it was invasion, um, but we'll go through this and take a look at how it showed up. So we've got the queen up here. So the question was basically, will Russia invade? So our root card was the Knight of Swords, which is a soldier, right? So what happened was the Knight of Swords, which is very much war energy. So here, the way it actually showed up was this Pentacles energy. The sword transforms into the Pentacles. Now, the Pentacles energy isn't really about war, it's more about stability and, like, you know, patterns. Really, it's about stability. So it would also be about like commerce and infrastructure and that sort of thing. Now, I pulled a card to find out where it came from and where it was going. Coming from the Two of Cups, moving toward the Two of Wands. Now, in what has actually happened is Putin has ordered his troops into the Donbas. I think I'm saying that right. The Donbas region of eastern Ukraine. Now, when I did the reading last month, I didn't really know anything about the situation, but this specific area of Ukraine considers itself independent. Um, and that is the Two of Cups. So the Two of Cups was the emotional connection that Russia already had, or at least that's the way I'm reading it now because this shit has transpired. So we had the place of the emotional connection, and this is the separatist area of Ukraine. So then we have this the knight. I mean, the knight is a soldier, but this isn't really a soldier of war. And we have this Two of Cups that shifts into the Two of Wands. Now, the Two of Wands is basically about creative solutions to old problems and like developing new tools. So it pretty much shows Russia using the emotional connection that they had with the people in the separatist groups and using that as a new tool. So the thing about the troops moving into the areas that they're in, those people want them there, or at least most of them, or the leaders of that place, like the political leaders. Um, so it was more of an accepting thing, and whether or not that is Ukraine depends on who you ask. So the card that came out of it was the Queen of Cups, and I can see how this would be Mother Russia, but the Queen of Cups was the loving and devoted mother. So this showed not a bloody battle, right? But this emotional connection that got turned into a tool. Now, this has transpired. So let's take a look and see where we're at now. A lot more things have happened than when I did the reading in January. So let's just see what we got. Random number purple. Random word. I mean, random number 27. Purple 27. Okay. Our root card here is the reverse temperance card. And the reverse temperance card is a lack of acceptance. It's a lack of wisdom and patience. It is trying to combine two opposite things that are just not blending. So let's see what we got. we have the Lovers. So this is talking about, I mean, theoretically, this is what they would say shit or get off the pot, right? The Lovers is like commitment to a path, commitment to action. Now, we're going to take a normal timeline here and kind of put a past and future. Well, this does show commitment and also like kind of money being made. We're going to look at this a little deeper, but so the Lovers is about completely giving yourself to a specific path and committing to action. With the Root card of these two opposite things that are just not fucking blending. Like this is oil and water, you know. It's trying to blend these two things together and it's just not happening. So in past energy, we've got Page of Cups. So the Page of Cups, first it's a page, and the page is not a card of commitment. The page is just going about their life, and they're kind of an emotionally motivated healer. We've got this page, this little kid. Now, after the Lovers and the commitment to action, the Page of Cups, which is emotionally driven, this turns into a King of Pentacles. And the King of Pentacles is a businessman. The King of Pentacles is about money and stability. And the King is a card of commitment. So any sort of fleeting emotional stuff gets replaced by real world like nuts and bolts in the King of Pentacles. So we are going to pull a card up here and we'll just see what comes out of this. We get a Two of Pentacles. So when we look at the Temperance card, these two different things that cannot be blended, I'm assuming that that is talking about the people of this region of Ukraine. Because there are people in this region who want the Russians there. There are people there who believe that they are Russians. And there's also people in that region who would not think any of that is true. You know, these two things, they cannot necessarily be blended, right? So on the top, in this Two of Pentacles, they are held separately. They're kind of juggled around. Um, they're not being smashed together, right? I would take this as kind of a sign of a separation of these two different things. Now, it's also true that this region of Ukraine, it is two separate, like, people's republics. And I don't remember what the names are of the two, but this could be those two things sort of being wielded, you know, like, oh, look at me, I'm like wielding these two people's republics. But again, it is two separate things. Now, I'm just going to look at this because most of this looks at the eastern section and Russia. But one of the other things is like NATO countries and the rest of Ukraine, like the Ukrainian government. So let's just see what we have for the West, you know. But we'll start with the Ukrainian government. And I think it's here. Whoop. The Magician. The Magician is the master of many different skills. Well, here, I think the thing that's really coming out in the Magician is just the fact that this person is like on stage. Here you can see all the shadows of the people who are observing them, and the Magician is actually kicking ass, you know. The Magician is really good at what they do, and they're very confident. So here, if this is the shadows of NATO as they observe Ukraine, then the Ukrainian government would be really impressing NATO. Now, I'm just going to look, and this makes sense, like in the case of Ukraine trying to become a part of NATO, and it'd be like, well, if you play by these rules, then maybe. Now I'm trying to here look at the actual NATO countries. We have two. I think I'm going to. We've got three. I'm going to keep shuffling a little bit because that thought was incomplete in my head. The cards are falling all over everywhere. All right, let's just see what NATO's fucking deal is. Ugh. All right, we've got three. So there's the Knight of Swords. And that's the same one that showed up in the last reading, but the Knight of Swords is the soldier. This is the one who is prepared for war. Now, here, they're looking at the Seven of Cups, which is about artistic expression. This reminds me of what they would say the false flags, This is like just creating something to show to people. Anyway, at its core, the seven is about expressing yourself artistically so you can kind of figure out what's going on deeper in your emotions. I'm pretty sure that in this case it's talking about making some shit up, and I am 100% sure that every single media outlet that reports on this, whether it's Russian or Western or Ukrainian, is full of shit, and they are trying to project a very specific reality. I really don't believe that there are any news sources that would be trustworthy whatsoever. Um, but here, there's the soldier. This is the creation or like making shit up. And the Ace of Swords. And the Ace of Swords is basically about taking full control, accepting full responsibility, and therefore having full control over what happens in a situation. Now, if you throw these together, this would be like making up a story in order to control what is happening there, um, using your imagination to control the deal. Uh, I am going to pull one more card just to see if this ends in massive actual bloodshed. Interesting. I would not necessarily take this to mean massive actual bloodshed, and when I say that, I mean not fucking false flags and whatever, because that shit has been accused already of like all the different parties. But actual stuff happening. So the Six of Wands is about getting recognized for all of the work that you've done and the transformations that you have made within yourself. And here, the Six of Wands reversed is when you make the transformations, but no one accepts it. So, the way that I would currently read that is that these disputed areas of Ukraine would probably not be recognized as independent, and this shit would just drag on. But I would not take this as a sign of bloodshed. I would just take it as not a sign of recognition, something not being recognized. And of course, our root card again is Temperance reversed, and Temperance is combining two different things to make a totally new deal. And the Temperance card reverses when these two things just cannot combine. So that's what we got. I would love to hear, any ideas. There were a couple people that basically predicted the escalation. Whether you can call it an invasion or not is a gray area, but they predicted the events of the 21st, and someone said the 22nd, but I'm sure, I mean, that's pretty fucking close. So that was impressive. Good job.